Good evening, all you troublemakers. This is Mike on the mic telling you to pump up those microwaves. They may be small, but they scatter very far. No amount of rain will rain on this parade. And with me is none other than the super sexy man himself, the C out loud. How you doing?
Yes, the sea of out loud. Yes, that is my radio name, and it is gonna be a huge tidal wave coming with all the good talks about this movie that is called Pump Up the Volume.
That's right. Pump Up the Volume is a 1990 film featuring none other than Christian Slater in the starting role, as well as Samantha Mathis playing his romantic love interest. And by romantic, I mean super crazy wild, the girl of your dreams. And of course, we have other actors like Scott Paulin, Ellen Green, and surprisingly, Seth Green had a small role in this film, of all people.
Oh, yeah, Seth Green.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to go into like a really obscure role, the mailman in this movie ended up playing Stanley Yelnats the first in the movie Holes.
Yeah.
I was like, why does this guy look familiar? And that's when I realized, oh yeah, he's the only person to survive kissing Kate Barlow.
Yep.
All right, so a pump of the volume. What if so let's talk about the theme of the month, because some people are probably wondering what is the theme we're doing this month, because before we've done like anime movies, we've done video game movies, we did all the Crow movies together, all the Shrek movies together. So like, what is the theme for this? Well, this month's theme is called Trapped at Grandma's. And what it is basically, if you've ever grown up in the 90s, you were probably in a situation where Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon were not readily available to every television set in America. Like you had to pay for a little brown box with only 3 buttons in order to access channels like those. And if you're a kid in the 90s, you really need those damn cartoons. Yeah, so you're staying over at grandma's house on a Sunday afternoon. You have no access to cartoons of any kind, and you have no Disney VHS tapes to keep you company. So what do? You just watch random stuff on ABC, WB, CBS, NBC, Fox, KCAL9, UPN, and whatever floats sticks. So that's basically the premise of this month. 4 movies that I saw while I was trapped at grandma's. There actually is a 5th movie, but I decided not to include it because I want to make sure there's time for these 4 movies. If there's time, we'll add it in, but if not, we'll do a sequel. So let me ask you this, Clement. Were you ever in that situation where like you had to spend an extended period of time at someone's house without any access to those things that kids need back in the 90s?
Let's see. Back in the 90s, well, I was born in 1992. So if like we go up to like when like it's before like the start of like the new millennia, that is the year 2000. Let's see. I was 7 years old. So the things I don't know, like the things I have access to back then as a kid, just access to all of, like the VHS cassettes, and like I didn't go to my grandma's house. I didn't go to anybody's house. I just go to school, come back home after school, do my homework, and maybe pop up like some of those like home VHS cassettes that my parents bought from like the Disney stores, or like go to your local like Radio Shack, some of the DVDs that they sell some stuff. But Yeah, but basically the things I have access to. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Again, like if I was let known ahead of time, I'd be staying over at someone's house. Like I would have at least tried to bring a VHS with me because back in the day, I did have quite an expansive collection of Disney VHS tapes. My very first Disney VHS tape was The Lion King, and followed by Little Mermaid. Well, I actually had an illegal copy of Little Mermaid. Funny enough. Yeah, yeah, and like immediately after it was a recording of what is basically my very first anime experience in my entire life, and maybe someday we will discuss that particular anime film. Um, but yeah, no, it's like if you were lucky, you'd stay over Friday night, Saturday morning, so that at least you could fall back on watching like Cartoon Network, not Cartoon Network, of Fox Kids or Kids WB. I was more of a Fox Kids kid rather than a Kids WB kid, for a hot minute. Um,
Mm.
but like if it's Sunday, it's like, yeah, there's UPN Kids. There's some great shows on that, but once 11 o'clock hits, it's like you're you got nothing to do until your parents pick you up. You're at the mercy of whatever's on TV. And occasionally they would show movies Sunday afternoons, and I'd watch whatever was there. And yeah, I think some of these movies that I've picked out for this month were like some of the ones that kind of like have at least one scene that like really stuck in my head the most. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or maybe like I started watching the movie like midway into it because like I was just channel surfing between what few channels were available, and maybe like something engaged me like midway through the movie, and maybe this is an excuse to watch it back from the beginning. Yeah. 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 I mean, after 2003, I learned how to record stuff on VHS. So now I would have VHS tapes of entire uh, Friday night blocks of Cartoon Network Fridays or Toonami, but this is from before 2003. All four of these films that we're discussing, they're before 2003. So I definitely had no access to recording stuff.
Hmm.
um but yeah, so that's that. So another question is uh, is this your first time watching the film, and what is your overall experience of like watching it for the first time?
It's first time watching this. It's I didn't expect much from this film because it's like
Mhm,
it's the classic '90s. So most of the '90s films have
mhm,
like a good moral stories, like classic like old school way of like
mhm,
talking about real life issues and like storytelling about
mhm,
life, about like mental health, and about like how the school system is like back then. But I had a fun time. I enjoyed the movie, and
mhm,
it's captivating, and it's actually cool that a guy that a student who like nobody knows, and he's kind of like what he's kind of like an outcast or a
mhm.
dork or
Yeah.
like a misfit in high school. And
Yeah, one of the kids from the Breakfast Club, basically.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like not the kind of student that would be like well known in the whole
Mhm,
campus. But what he did is, oh, he just turns on the radio. He created a persona for himself, and he goes on this sort of live radio every night
mhm,
at 10 p.m. And all of us and all these high school students are just captivated or just
mhm,
drawn or just just love listening to his voice because
mhm,
he when he talks on the radio he brings out his experience. He brings out the truth, and he brings out like, oh, his life, and he likes to be there for the people. And when I mean
Mhm.
people, I mean like his peers. That is the like his
Mhm.
fellow like classmates that are in the same school.
Yeah, yeah. So the main character, Mark Hunter, aka Happy Harry Hard On, aka Hard Harry.
Yeah.
Uh, he he's played by Christian Slater, and he's famous for being in a lot of roles. He was in films such as The Heathers. He was in The Wizard, Beyond the Stars. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Let's see, what else was he in? He was in Interview with the Vampire, which is probably the role that he's probably the most famous for. Let's see, he was also in Very Bad Things, Zoolander, Hollow Man 2. Didn't even know that there was a sequel. He was in
Mhm.
the 2007 version of the Ten Commandments as Moses. Uh, and he was in and also he played the father of the main character in a certain 2013 film that I'm not going to say the name of because I'm not particularly a fan of this film, but I'm just going to say that Shia LaBeouf played the antagonist in that film. That's pretty much the
Mhm.
only hint I'm going to give about that particular film. And apparently he played Deadshot in Hell to Pay. So I did not know that about Hell to Pay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was in one episode of My Name Is Earl, which is kind of cool because I did not notice him. He was in a 2008 episode, so I think it was the final season.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, he was in Scooby Doo Guess Who as himself. He played Kylo Ren in one of the Lego Star Wars specials. Uh, yeah, and he was in the 2022 TV series Willow, which is
Mm.
either a spin-off or sequel of the movie Willow with Val Kilmer. I haven't watched the TV show, so I don't know its relationship with the original film. All I know is that Warwick Davis comes back. Oh, and apparently there's going to be a new Spiderwick Chronicles remake, and he's going to be in a Mulgarath. He's going to be
Oh.
playing Mulgarath. So, were there any were there any Christian Slater films that you're particularly a fan of, or roles that he's previously played?
What, like Christian Slater?
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with the actor, to be quite
Mhm.
honest.
Mhm.
Like when I saw this movie, Pump Up the Volume, this is the
Mhm.
first time seeing him, but I was actually unaware of his other works that he's been doing.
Mhm.
Like, so yeah,
Yeah.
not familiar with this Miss Christian Slater.
Mhm. Right. Well, you might be more familiar with the female protagonist of this film named Samantha Mathis, who this film is actually her second role, but she would later go on to play Princess Daisy in Super Mario Brothers, a film that
Oh.
we reviewed just last year. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and she's been in several other roles since then, Kids in America, Punisher, Sweet Jane, American Pastoral, the Exorcism from this year. You know, the one with goddamn, what's his name? Oh God, Maximus from The Gladiator. I forgot his name. The What's the name of that actor? Russell Crowe. Yeah. Let's see. She was also in several TV shows like Cold Case Files,
Mm-hmm.
Lost as Olivia, and she was in Criminal Intent, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, Royal Pains, Grey's Anatomy, Law and Order. Um, and
Mm.
I'm pretty sure there were like other movies she was in that we've discussed previously. So you know, kind of interesting that. Oh yeah, she was in American Psycho.
Oh
That,
yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Were there any particular films of hers that you're a fan of?
Mm, well, I remember. Well, when you mentioned American Psycho, like that's the
Yeah,
only film I remember her from. But
yeah.
like, there's so many actors. There's so many like things
Mhm.
like I watch. But when I watch Pump Up the Volume, like all these casts
Mhm.
were like a little bit new to me, and like the only face I remember was Seth Green.
Yeah, honestly, like when I was a kid and I saw his face, like I didn't even recognize it, which is weird because it's like I am very familiar with Seth Green's like older roles. Like if nothing else, like I would have recognized Scotty Evil. I would have recognized Scotty Evil.
I remember him. He was the nerdy. He was the nerdy comedian in that old
It,
It. Yeah,
yeah.
with Tim Curry. I
Mhm.
remember him from that, and I was surprised to see him in like making a playing a small role in Pump Up the Volume. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is actually unique. But the rest of the actors, they're just new faces to me ever since I
Mhm.
first saw this film. But Seth
Mhm.
Green, he was like the only name I still remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So on like honestly, like I was just enamored with the idea of this film when I first saw it as a kid because like I never saw the movie from the beginning. And as a kid, like I said, I would just channel surf and whatever I
Yeah.
land on, I just watch it and I started watch and like the earliest scene that I saw of the movie was midway towards the film where he's having a rager and that one girl like puts all her stuff into the microwave. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much where I started watching the movie. And the second time I saw the movie, it was a little bit later than that scene. So I liked watching like the latter 2/3 of the movie as a kid. I wanted to see it again, forgot the name of the movie, but then like the second time I saw it, it's like, oh no, I missed the beginning of the movie, but so I remember the ending more than the beginning, but like seeing like the movie in its entirety, I'm like, yeah, I can relate to this movie more. And keep in mind, I first saw this movie like when I was like 7 or 9, so it's been like 25 years since the last time I saw this film.
Mm.
So yeah, and so but I'm glad that like I remember like I want to thank Reels like on social media. Like I don't know if you watch Reels on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, but every now and then they always show clips of TV shows and movies, and sometimes you either discover something new or you just like or you feel or like something like buried deep in your brain suddenly just clicks. For the most part, all I see are like clips from Shameless. And I'm not gonna lie, up to that point, I've never seen the American show Shameless. I just knew that William H. Macy was in it. Um, but that
Mm-hmm.
got me into watching the TV show in like just a few months ago on Netflix, and now Game of Thrones is meta, which makes sense. It's been 5 years since the show ended, and now I'm midway through the first episode of the final season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like remembering why I hated that season even harder.
Oh gosh. And if any of you are watching this and have seen Game of Thrones, this is how he feels.
Yeah.
This is how
Uh,
he feels emotionally right now.
One of these days we might do a retrospective on Game of Thrones, but it's not right now. But the point I'm trying to make is one time I found a reel with a clip from one of the other movies we'll be doing this month. And all I know about that clip is that Richard Dreyfuss played a music teacher in that movie. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like trying to like go into the comments to find the name of this movie because that scene looked interesting and kind of reminded me of Whiplash. And of course, like any other clip on Reels. It's like, oh, what's the title of the movie? What's the title of the movie? Like, this post is useless if you don't tell me the title of this movie. And then I'm like, wait, isn't this the movie where you have that music teacher and his son is deaf? Oh snap! I saw this movie, and that's kind of what inspired me to like do these 4 films. So it's like I'm like trying to remember like what are some movies I saw at Grandma's house, and just like completely forgot they existed. I want to revisit those, and I'm gonna be honest, like some of these movies, like they're either direct to video or they did come out in theaters, but were so obscure, probably not a lot of people are talking about them, to my knowledge.
Oh
Yeah. Like so I feel like to some extent, like if we don't talk about it on our channel, a lot of our viewers probably will have never heard of these 4 films. And if that's the case, I mean, I hope that's not the case, but if that's the case, I hope that like we bring more awareness that, oh, these movies exist. These are movies you might be interested in. Because like anyone could do like, oh, let's do Back to the Future trilogy, let's do the Jurassic Park hexology, let's do all the Terminator films, all the Transformers films. It's easy to do like popular franchises, but like who's going to be there to talk about those little films that a lot of people forgot existed? Like maybe they're bad films and we're going to talk about how bad they are. Maybe they're amazing films and people are sleeping on them. But like, hey, like whether you will agree or disagree with our personal opinions on these films, at least you will have the opportunity to at least give them a chance, check them out. You agree with us, disagree with us, offer your alternate take that we might not know about it. I mean, like maybe like we might hate a movie and you're going to give us a comment that you're going to give us a comment that might change our thoughts on the film altogether. I mean, like I don't hate Operation Overdrive as much as I used to because I was presented with some decent cases for it. Do I love it now? No, it's middling, but my mind can be changed if an argument is compelling enough. So talk to me, internet. Let us know what you thought of this movie. Yeah. Talk hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So this pirate radio station is really interesting because because Harry Hardon lives up to his name, and what's really interesting is originally they wanted to get a professional tap dancer to do certain scenes, but the filmmakers opted to have Christian Slater just improvise like his own sound effects. And I find that very interesting because a lot of people don't know about Foley art. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Foley art is when you use like random household objects to imitate certain sound effects, like using like a foil sheet to imitate the sound of thunder, or using 2 coconuts to imitate the sound of horses running. And yes, that is a Holy Grail reference. Or like like I remember like Nickelodeon had this amazing featurette about making sound effects for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So yeah, like I find it an interesting art style. It's like, how does a Foley artist know what household objects make the specific sound effect we need to make? Yeah. But yeah, like he goes to the school and we find out that like the staff are a bunch of jerks. Not the English teacher, but the rest of the staff are. Yeah, so apparently the school gets its funding based on SAT scores. Only based on SAT scores. And which means that anyone that's delinquent at the school or is deemed a delinquent by the head of the school gets kicked out or gets pressured to drop out. Like there was even this one student that was a pregnant teenager, and the school counselor had her kicked out of school. Like that's
Hmm.
really messed up. Like, did you like when you were growing up? Did you have any like classmates that were going through some of the stuff like teen pregnancy, depression?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yes, definitely.
Mhm.
At my high school, I recognize and I remember there were
Yeah.
two girls that were pregnant and they're in high
Yeah.
school. And it's tough, and
Mhm.
it's tough to manage both things, but in the end, like, I just happened to met one of them at, well, the first one is actually 2 years older than me, and the other is on the same grade as me. But she was able to manage to balance everything. She and the father, they are still together, and they're happily married, and they have two beautiful kids. And the and I'm happy that she's doing great. But the other, like, I don't know what she's been up to, but I have been seeing, like, I like some of the friends been following her, but I did see some, like mentioned photos that she's doing fine, and her son grew up like nice and healthy. But it's tough. But in my high school, like, if you get pregnant, you don't get kicked out. Like, you just
Yeah.
continue your school, you continue your education, and you continue doing your test scores to see if you can get into a nice university. So my high school is very supportive, but I was just, I don't know from the girls' perspective if
Mhm.
it was tough for them. I don't
Yeah.
know the whole story from them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were like other troubled teenagers that were also kicked out. Like there was like one student that was gay, and like he was basically hazed by like two of his other classmates. There was another student that was suicidal, uh and what's
Hmm.
crazy is that even like the quote unquote normal kids with the high GPAs and high SAT scores, like they were also like relating to Hard Harry because it's like they were being pressured to go to Yale. Like it's not because they didn't go to Yale because it's what they wanted to. It's because they had to. Even in Cinderella's story, Austin like had to go to wanted to go to Princeton
Hmm.
instead of like running his dad's car wash or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, people have their own aspirations that are different from their parental expectations, and and like you don't even have like the ability to really explore like what do you want, like what do you want, like, and yeah, like with a guidance counselor like that, it's like you don't want to talk about your personal like angst.
Hmm.
Like this dude got a girl kicked out just because she was pregnant. And we find out towards the end of the film that like 20 students were expelled after the first no, like yeah, after the first 20 days of school. 30
Hmm.
students were like kicked out like in the first 20 days of school. I'm like, that's insane.
Well, it is insane,
Yeah.
and, like, of course, like we all went through the high school phase,
Yeah.
and, like, we're now adults. But the saying that, oh, those who are well educated, have a lot of expectations, but once they reach to that stage, it's go time. And if they can hack it, then that means, uh-oh. So
Mhm.
we were right that those who strive tend will can will fall hard, and
Mhm.
those who go through the hard challenges will rise to the occasion to get better.
Mhm.
It's like a lot of teachers use this quote: failure is the best teacher. And it is true. Like, those who if you learn from your defeats, you will learn from that
Mhm.
mistake, and then you will not make that same mistake again. That means you are learning, you are getting better. But if you have never tasted defeat, and you've been winning most of the time, but once you lose, it's gonna hurt you hard.
harder because your body and mind are not conditioned to understand defeat. Like the first time around, it's like Hero season 3 when like Claire loses her healing powers. It's like because her healing powers has been there for her since birth, she's never had like immune problems. Like she never
Mhm.
developed like antibodies for different diseases and stuff. So when she
Yeah.
so when she got shot while her powers were deactivated, it's like she was like her body was like taking it worse than what a normal person would if they got shot, because a normal person, like, they would have built up at least some level of immune response to that. I mean, you
Mhm.
still need immediate medical attention, don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
because she had healing powers to do the work for her, she never developed the antibodies for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like like uh like during like and even there's a scene where that very sad geeky dude
Oh yeah,
got
Kaiser.
Kaiser. Yeah, he wrote Harry a letter and he read it and he gave him a phone call and he said he wanted to end his life. Of course, like when we go through high school, there's that huge pressure from the system, from the education, the test scores, and from our parents. Because if we can manage to do both of them, if we manage to do great at both of them, then we can go off to a good college. We would have a good life. Nothing bad will happen to us. But guess what? This kid Kaiser, like, he looks like a very stood up student. He is well educated. He
Mhm.
looks like he is smart. But why did he want to end his life? Why? It's because he's lonely. He feels like nobody knows him. He
Nobody
doesn't
cares about
Nobody
him.
cares about him. He doesn't
Yeah.
have a girlfriend. Nobody acknowledges him
Mhm.
or is aware of him on the school grounds. And guess what?
And he lives parasocially through Hard Harry.
Yeah. And he thinks that, oh, someone that he could speak to or talk to on a radio
Mhm.
could be like, understand him and relate to him.
Yeah.
But like in reality, we all need that friend that we can meet
Mhm.
like every day from time to time when we go to school or when we get off from work. Like we just need that human
Mhm.
connection and not
Yeah.
by the radio, because it sucks to be lonely. And it sucks that, oh, you feel like you have friends, but once you go home, you're alone.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the most suckish feeling of all time.
Yeah. And just a reminder, there is a crisis hotline if you or anyone else you know is dealing with those feelings. I'm not gonna mince words too much, but like I'm gonna be very transparent. Like I was in that position where like I was like ready to end it. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I didn't, because I got to meet, you and Leonard and Ryan and Jen, and now I can have like this conversation with everyone watching this podcast, um and spread the word about this movie as well as this hotline number. So there's that. And yeah, so like I know where this kid's coming from, because like when I was in the ninth grade, I felt extremely isolated.
Mhm.
Like I lost a lot of friends. My like a lot some people didn't take my like angst seriously. I had teachers that straight up hated me. Like there was like one teacher in particular that I felt really had it out for me. Like I've had teachers where like maybe I didn't do too well in their class, but I can at least acknowledge that they did care, or like they were at least trying to teach me something valuable. There was this one teacher in particular that I felt like was genuinely out to get me, and So that didn't help. So like even like when a certain classmate even like made threats towards me, like right in front of that teacher, the teacher just did nothing about it. And I'm not gonna lie, just the other day I did rewatch the Minutemen, and I had to say JP Mono's character really pissed me off because like he actively like sees all these kids getting bullied. He's like, see, I'd like to help, but I can't because that would be messing with the social hierarchy of the school. So yeah, best of luck with that. I hate people like that. And of course, like if you've ever watched anime, like you would know teachers like that in anime. Like most notably in Yu Yu Hakusho, they're Mr. Akashi and Mr. Iwamoto. Like they're like the worst teachers out there. Because when Yusuke died, they're like, great, Yusuke's dead. That means that the school's attendance record and GPA is going to go up. And it's like, oh man, I really hope that Kuwabara ends up in a fight and breaks his promise. That way I can expel him and his friends, and the school's GPA is gonna go way up. This will be the best thing to happen to the school since Urameshi's death. Oh man, I really can't stand teachers like that. Such teachers were in this movie, and they do exist in real life. I'm not saying all teachers are like this. Some teachers might be like your parent away from your parents. Some teachers are like might be the one person that believes in you, the one where like you believe that you fail at everything and will give you the aspiration to become a surgeon. But then there's these teachers that make you feel like there's no point to living. And I can't stand those kinds of teachers. Yeah. But yeah, so I will say this. Having an extra 25 years of lived experience, I like to think that this movie hit me a lot harder than it originally did as a kid. And like, yeah, I can resonate with a lot of the teenagers in this film because I can relate to them. Like I've been where they were in some of those cases. And yeah, sometimes we need that parasocial entity to like inspire us. For me, it's Keanu Reeves and Tendo Soji, but but yeah, no, it's like was there ever a person that really inspired you that's like outside of your family that made you feel like you could keep going forward with life?
Well, I have so many people or so many characters or icons that I look up to help me keep going. And of course, like my parents, like my mom and dad, I look up to them. They've been through a lot of stuff and they help me keep going. And of course, like my new inspiration to help me keep going are my nieces and nephews. But when I was in school, like in high school, like I like a lot of things, like mostly comedians like Jim Carrey, Robin Williams. They've been through hard times and tough times and sad times. And like when I got to know their story, I was like, okay, then I feel like I feel like I always thought that Hollywood actors like had everything and they're all good and have everything set. But before they reach to that top of the mountain of like their status, like they were nobody like us. They have to go through a lot of challenges in life to get to where they are. So I find that relatable. And now, like some even WWE wrestlers, like I'm a fan of wrestling, and wrestlers, like I thought wrestlers had everything going good for them as well, but they told me their stories that they missed a flight, they have to drive all the way to a different state to their show, or if there's like a health issue or like a transportation issue, they would just rent a car out of their own money and they don't get paid well, or they don't get like they don't get covered for renting a car, or like if or the company will like help with their like hospital bills because wrestlers get injured all the time and they have to pay for themselves. But yeah, like Roman Reigns, John Cena, Batista, like those guys, they went through all the tough stuff. And Like in the end, where they are now icons. They're legends. They are very well known to their names. So yeah, you everybody in high school needs to have something to inspire them to keep going. It can
Yeah.
be teachers, it can be a cartoon character, it can be your
Mhm.
TV show, you can be like a Hollywood star or an athlete. That's what we have. Sports,
Mhm.
movies, animations, anything that inspires you to keep going, well, just use it. If people think it's weird, screw them. If people think it's odd, screw them. Like, find things that will keep you going and inspire you and actually break through those those doubts, or break through like those challenges or those obstacles in your way, because the only person that can stop you from going forward is yourself. So everybody keep that in
Mhm.
mind.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, so like Hard Harry had an amazing soundtrack. Like there were so many great songs in this film. Most notably, the song throughout the song, he uses uh, "Everybody Knows" by Leonard Cohen.
Mhm.
Great song, by the way. It's his intro to his pirate station, and naturally, if you follow our Instagram, this is the song that we chose for our IG live story. I always like try to use a song that's closely related to that specific film, you know. But some of the other films were Why Can't I Fall in Love by Ivan Neville, Stand by Liquid Jesus, Wave of Mutilation by the Pixies. There's also songs by Above the Law, Soundgarden, Sonic Youth, Cowboy Junkies, and I think there was also a Beastie Boys song in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan Ridgway. There's actually a number of Leonard Cohen songs. There was an Ice-T song. I sometimes forget that Ice-T used to have a music career.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty sure there was a Beastie Boys song in there somewhere. So
Mm.
uh yeah. So any particular songs in this movie that you really liked?
Mm, I'm not really familiar with any of these songs, to be very
Yeah.
honest. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like when he mentioned Beastie Boys, like I didn't expect that song. Like I never heard of it. Like I've heard of like trending songs from Beastie Boys, but I never heard of this. So I'm like, okay, after watching this film, maybe
Yeah.
I can find that song that wasn't like that that Harry says that was banned due to controversial like lyrics or something.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna check that out. But Beastie Boys, I like Beastie Boys. You know, No Sleep Till Brooklyn and Intergalactic. Yeah, those songs, or Brass Monkey. Yeah,
Yeah.
that monkey.
Brass monkey, that funky monkey.
Yep,
Yeah, like
I
for me, whenever I hear one particular song, I can help but like hold my hands like this because of an episode of Futurama. Like, don't you tell me to stop, because in Futurama, like everyone like that's famous is just ahead of themselves, so they got like stage hands to like, don't you tell me to stop.
I heard I heard Brass Monkey one time at a juice store when I ordered like a banana peanut butter protein shake, and it was like Brass Monkey, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So that's kind of that was fun. So yeah.
Yeah, you know it's really weird how Cold Stone Creamery used to do a thing where like if you pay a tip of 25 cents or more, they would do an ice cream parody cover of a popular song. Like
Wow, I didn't know
like
that.
like for example, like off the top of my head, like I'm just gonna improv, but it's gonna be like it's like can't eat my no you can eat my banana split. I'm gonna put some nuts on that.
What the heck?
What? Walnuts, they go on banana split. Personally, I prefer peanuts, but
Oh, jeez. All right. Let's so all that, and when Harry tells all the students to go crazy, go nuts, go wild, like one of the popular girls of the school, like
like the
she,
valedictorian girl.
yeah, like she is like the golden girl in the high school, and guess what? She teared off her
Yeah,
Yale, like what was that?
it was a Yale flag. You know those
Yeah, her
sports
Yale
flags,
flag, like it's like, and like her, some of her, like some
trophies and stuff. Yeah.
posters, DVDs, some of the stuff that basically she just microwaved all the things that her parents like threw expectations on her, and she just put it in the microwave and start a fire. So she just started a fire, and yeah.
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since our Harry was singing.
Yep. So the school's valedictorian started a fire. So this is a side that I've never seen before, and this tells me that even the most sane student could lose themselves once they go over the edge. And
It's a.
those, yeah.
I don't think it's so much they're sane or insane. I think it's just like there's like this pent up rage again, like, from the expectations that like needs to have like a healthy outlet.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if anyone, if any of you viewers have something that is
Yeah.
built on the inside, just let it out. Let it out. And
Let it go.
and
Let
I
it
don't mean
go.
let it go like, and I don't mean let it go by Elsa from Frozen. Okay, that is just clean and refreshing ice. I want that rage, that fire come out. Let it. Let the rage out.
Yeah.
I think that's what Harry is trying to say. Let that
Yeah.
rage burst out, so then the public, or let the people know how you feel from what you thought about the school, what you thought about the staff, what you thought about your family's expectations, or what are your thoughts about the SAT. Come on.
Yeah. No, like I hated the SATs, man.
Oof.
Yeah. You know what's funny? For the essay portion, I did my essay on Watchmen. I'm not even joking. Like I used Watchmen as a literary reference for my essay question. I don't even remember the exact what the question was exactly about, but I think it might have something to do with Rorschach because I was super into Rorschach into the time at the time. But yeah, yeah, no, because like that's kind of like why I like heavy metal and why other people, not me in particular, but other people like mosh pits, because it's like a way of like having a controlled way of releasing all your rage. Because if you don't have a healthy outlet, it will come back to bite you in some way. So yeah. But yeah, no, and the thing is like the deeper he goes, the more concerned Mark becomes because every time he gives people advice, there's some kind of adverse consequence, like Kaiser killing himself, or what's her name, like freaking blowing up her microwave, and yeah. But the thing is, it's like if he doesn't speak for them, like who will? Because the parents in this town were not being particularly supportive, and the teachers, they're the bad guys, man. Like freaking man. It's like this a particular David Gilbert song. Hey teacher, leave the kids alone. And yeah, even the English teacher that actually thinks Hard Harry's pretty cool is like questioning like why are all the other teachers acting like jerks? And yeah, even some of the other students are like distributing like cassette recordings of Harry's show, so that's cool. And one of his fans who keeps sending him love letters finally figures out who Hard Harry is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, like part of me, like if that was me, I'd be like, I'm the world's greatest detective.
Oh, jeez.
I know
Well,
who you are, Hard Harry.
oh yes, talk hard to me. Jeez.
Yeah, like she even like follows him to the PO box. It's like, I knew it. I knew you were Hard Harry. Yeah.
Yep. So this girl, she finally knows who Harry is,
Mhm.
and when the school is having some kind of like a public meeting to put like like this radio persona Harry be responsible for Kaiser's his suicide,
Yeah.
and also the that valedictorian girl's like burning her stuff in the microwave like
Mhm.
behavior and causing crazy at school grounds. Like no, like of course, like there are like radio shows where like if you listen to them, like some of them may influence you. Like I would say back then in the 90s, those radio shows that you're listening to on your little boombox or radios, yeah, it is like today's modern of following influencers like TikTok or watching them to TikToks, Instagram, or like watching their Snapchats. Like basically any social media app can now be like
Yeah.
kind of like your own personal radio show or podcast these today. And whatever you watch, whatever you listen, or whatever you like, whatever topics they talk about, if you are a fan of them or if you think that they're right or wrong, you would just still keep listening no
Mhm.
matter what, because it's their own experience and they're sharing their experience to you. Or if their experience don't is not relatable to you in any sort of way, then you have the rights to give them a call. You can leave a comment, or you can just tell them like, oh, it's wrong, or you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so of course, like the FCC gets involved, and they want to, and of course they want to shut down Hard Harry, but but to quote the Beastie Boys, you gotta fight for your rights to party. And it's like, it's really cool. It's like they have that one final broadcast where they're on a jeep. It was like fun chase sequence, and of course it's like, oh no, like my fake voice thing is destroyed. Oh, and by the way, I love how like the moment that Mark's parents think that like that he might be Hard Harry, it's like Samantha Mathis shows up. It's like, oh no, he was talking to me this whole time. Oh, oh, oh,
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
It's like, okay, so you want your son to be sexually active instead of being, a pirate DJ. Okay, I see how it is. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and I suppose parents of boys be like that, where it's like, oh yeah, no, like I want my son to get laid as much as possible, but like my daughter, she'd better stay abstinent till marriage. That sort of double standard and whatnot. Um, but and of course. I like from now on. I hope to imagine that if I ever watch the 2007 Transformers film, I hope the Sam's happy time scene was inspired by this film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to call it that. We could call it Sam's happy time or Sam's special moment.
Or the wiki moment.
Yeah, he needs to wick the flame.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, it's like I love how they have that sequence where it's like they where like they're chasing the jeep with the radio transponder, and yeah, like he was like being clever. It's like he basically redirected the signal to a bunch of neighbors'
Mm-hmm.
houses and stuff. Um Yeah, and apparently a lot of students got expelled, and the one teacher got fired because they wanted to go hard on Hard Harry. But finally, he made his final broadcast in front of all of his fans. They all know who he is.
Hmm.
And he finally gets arrested with his iconic final line, Talk hard!
Talk hard.
And then the movie ends with like voiceovers of like hundreds of pirate radio stations popping up. So yeah, happy ending.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that final scene?
Um, the final scene.
Yeah.
It's well, in his own, like, in the film, in his own way, he's like starting a revolution for like the high school students to like speak up their minds about like about what they think about the like the school, and tell them like, oh, I am not going to let the counselors, I'm not going to let the teachers, I'm not going to let the school system, I'm not going to even let the freaking SAT scores going to define who I am and control my destiny to have a better future. Like, I myself am like unique in many ways, and there's there are failures in me, and there's like like triumphs, and i can I can lose battles and I can win
Mhm.
battles, and like if I mix them all, then that makes me like unique in my own way, and I don't want to be like those other people that, oh, you just follow this program, you follow this program. Well, I'm going to bend the rules, and I and me, by bending the rules, i I fail and I succeed my way, and not from the system, and not from the program.
Yeah. For me, like I really hate how people put so much, or at least schools and jobs provide so much. Okay, two things. One, I hate that jobs provide more stock in like resumes with school transcripts more than like actual work experience.
Hmm.
And I hate how schools put more stock into GPAs than competence in subject matter. Like like for me, I'd rather get a C in a class and learn something than get an A in a class and learn nothing. Like to give some examples, I got a C in mechanical physics, but at
Hmm.
least I learned something valuable. I learned about thermodynamics, and I know it's kind of weird, like a mechanical physics class teaching about thermodynamics. That's kind of weird. I learned about waves and sinusoids, and it was cool. Um, but like, yeah, I got a C in the class, but I learned something. And believe it or not, the teacher for that class became the advisor for a club I started in college. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Meanwhile, I took a philosophy class and got an A in it, but I learned nothing. I quite literally slept through the entire class. Like every day except for midterms and finals, I would like my head would just be dead on the table because I also have a job. Got to pay for college. Um, and so like I didn't catch anything like that was being lectured about. But like as soon as the midterms showed up, I always got A's on the midterms.
Hmm.
Just BS my way through the class. Don't get me wrong. I know the material. Like I know about Plato's divided line. I know about determinism versus free will. B.F. Skinner, that jerk. I
Hmm.
know about Immanuel Kant and empiricism and rationalism, Rene Descartes, and all that stuff. But it's like, do I feel like I learned from this class in particular? Did I obtain any new information? Did I learn any new skills? Not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah.
yeah, it's like everything I that was taught in the class I either already knew or figured out on my own instinctively.
Hmm.
Or through osmosis, you never know. But the thing is like I want people to like succeed based on legitimate skill, and I want people to learn skills more than just facts in a vacuum. Um, like I want a biology class to be able to help people with their careers outside of biology. And keep in mind, I have a biology background, so it's especially important for me that it's related. Like I don't want like having a physical disability, mental disability, or even a learning disability to like prevent someone from being able to get what the right to learn. Well, and
Mhm.
I don't want external life circumstances to prevent that either.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yep.
like yeah, so screw these teachers. I hope they all get fired when Mark's dad, who by the way is the superintendent, and we never mentioned that, is going to thoroughly investigate the school. So yeah. Yeah, by the way, this movie had a box office of 11.5 million in the United States. And in 2019, it had a musical adaptation. So that's kind of interesting. Now, for me, I give the score this film a 9 out of 10. I think it might have been an 8, but because so much of it resonates to me because of like the experience I gained since last time I watched it, I think it hits harder. So I think it gets that added point to a 9. How about you?
I give this 8 out of 10. Like it's
Okay.
a good, decent movie, and it's a good story and very relatable to like teens and like young adults come of age to find themselves who they want and what they want to be. But yeah, it's 8 out of 10, and this is a good movie. But for me, it's like a one and done. Like watch it once and then I'm already remembered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No, like some movies be like that. I mean, like honestly, like Titanic is not a movie I care to watch a second time,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen it like 16. So, you know. uh, yeah. So, it's like, a movie being a one done doesn't necessarily make it a bad film. It's more of like, I got what I want to need out of it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this movie, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch it a million times, like, say, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but it's definitely a movie that I definitely think would be like in a special place for me. Kind of like some of the other 9 out of 10 films where it's like, I'm not going to rewatch you a bunch of times, but I will rewatch you once in a while. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, let's see what the comments have to say. Nemetrix92 says this movie is fun to watch in retrospect. Okay, I'm glad you had fun watching it. I can relate to what a lot of the characters went through. I, yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I really hope that you're doing well. Because I don't know which specific things you relate to or to what extent, but I hope you're doing well.
Mm.
Okay, Triple XYZ says, I love the use of Cohen for the theme. Yeah, Leonard Cohen has some great music out there. Oh yeah, I absolutely hated not being able to watch cartoons when visiting my grandparents. Don't we all? Like for man, like if I could, I watch Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Curse the Cowardly Dog everywhere I'd go. But yeah, it is what it is. What were your favorite shows from non-cable channels? Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. Well, I think it would be too easy to just simply say Power Rangers, Pokemon, Digimon, Los Luchadores, Yu-Gi-Oh, because like those are the easy ones. Because Kids WB and Fox Kids were like everyone's bread and butter. Oh, and UPN Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So to challenge myself, like as far as shows that don't fall into the kids block thing, um, Mortal Kombat Conquest, Crow Stairway to Heaven, Xena Warrior Princess, Honey I Shrunk the Kids, the TV
Oh
show.
yeah, Hercules: The Legendary Journey.
Yeah. I didn't watch Hercules: The Legendary Journey as much as I watched Xena.
I watched Hercules when I was a kid.
I mean, I caught an episode or two back then, but I was more in. I had more exposure to Xena than Hercules specifically. But because it was on Fox Kids, I definitely had plenty of exposure to young Hercules,
Hmm.
which I recently got on DVD. And if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been posting some clips out there. By the way, shout outs to Joel Tolbeck and Katrina Brown because they both had prominent roles in that film. And they did do interviews on our sister channel, the Morphin Network. Um, I think there were some other Power Ranger actors. Oh yeah, Sarah's mom from Ninja Steel played Lilith, so
Hmm.
that's another one that was there. But yeah, so those are my four shows: Crow Stairway to Heaven, um, Mortal Kombat Conquest, Xena Warrior Princess, and Honey I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show. How about you, Clement? Just Hercules.
Hercules, Power Rangers, and there's a lot of shows as a kid. Yeah, just I would say non-cable shows is just Hercules. I remember mostly that when I was a kid watching it. Yeah, on TV. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
All right. I remember one time I walked out of a classroom in the bungalows and saw the police arresting one of my classmates from chem class. I don't even know what they were arrested for. Ooh.
Oh man, the I have no idea what's going on when you're telling me this, but it could be something that is against the school policy, or he committed
Yeah.
like something
Yeah.
serious. But yeah, if he's arrested on the school grounds, then yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, we know that like a lot of the students were expelled in the movie because they were wrongfully expelled, but I don't know how much of that translates in real life. I don't know what's how much like again, I don't know the reason behind it. I don't know like the character of your classmates. I'm not gonna go one way or another, but it really looks to me like that kind of struck a nerve for you, and I hope you've been dealing okay with it. Yeah, like if the dude was nice to you, then like I'm sorry that one of your friends got arrested. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, like I can imagine that, like, yeah, just like in this movie, like once in a while, the police can show up for like reasons that might give probable cause. But yeah, I mean, I really hope that, whatever accusations are pulled on people, the people are innocent until proven guilty and whatnot. And I do want to emphasize proven guilty, because like if you're a minor, like that has to really struck a nerve on you.
Mhm.
Let's see. I still feel upset about JDF. He was a real paragon of living life to the fullest. Tommy was my most favorite ranger, but he helped me through a lot. Yeah, like it's hard to believe it's been 2 years since that
Mhm.
happened, but he does live on in all of us. And one more time, if you feel like you need to talk to someone, there is a crisis hotline. Um, and hopefully things work out for the best. The hotline is 988, so do not hesitate to, dial that number if that is something you might be going through. You are never truly alone, even if you feel that way. And, you know, we here are rooting for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What music do you use to help through your mental or emotional angst?
Mm. Man, what music? I don't know, man. I listen to like rock music just to go through like the tough times. Like my brother introduced me to Metallica Master of Puppet one time and I was hooked.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, I mean, I'm not a mosher. I want to be perfectly clear. I am not a mosher. But like rock, hard rock, grunge, metal, like that helps me a lot. Like Dio, Sabbath, ACDC, and heck, I think one particular ACDC song really fits the bill that should have been in this movie soundtrack. If you're having trouble with your high school head, you want to graduate, but not in his bed. Here's what you gotta do. Just ring 8624869. I live a life of crime. Daddy needs. But yeah, I actually do collect CDs, so I actually have a nice big collection, which I'm constantly reorganizing because I keep adding CDs to my collection. In this stack in particular, I actually have 3 Alice Cooper albums, 2 U2 albums, a The Who album, and 2 Enigma albums. So, just to give you an idea of some stuff I listen to. And yes, I also listen to Run DMC and Wu Tang. Like I'm very eclectic. I pretty much listen to anything except for EDM.
Mm.
I don't like country as a whole genre, but I'm down for some Johnny Cash. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So but EDM, I just can't get into.
Okay.
Yeah, and yes, Metallica is on my list. I have all but 2 of the Metallica albums.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Okay. If you could give your teenage self a piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Ooh. Um, if I could give my teenage self like wisdom, I would tell him like learn learn through all the pains because it only gets better as long as you don't as long as you don't quit. And like I would tell him that your autism is not going to hold you back. You just keep going forward, just keep learning and don't and your number one supporter, your mom is there for you.
Mhm.
And also be like Naruto, be like Naruto, a loser that hates to lose, a
Yeah.
loser ninja doesn't who doesn't think losing is an option. He just turns it around by by just by just keep going.
Mhm.
Yep, that's what I would tell him.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think the first half of my teen years needs the advice more than the second half because I think in the second half I kind of learned this wisdom the hard way. But I would just tell myself right now, you feel like these are the worst years of your life. Just
Mhm.
know that these are, in fact, the worst years of your life. Thing, but like the good, like, sorry, bad news is right now you're living the worst years of your life. But the good news is these are the worst years of your life, meaning that like it will only improve from here. Um, Def, don't go out of your way to be cool for others. Let the coolness just flow through you naturally. And I think the best way to put that is don't bend yourself to a culture. Make all the cultures part of you instead,
Mhm.
the individual. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it. Just be true to yourself and never give up. Um, you'll only become stronger moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, there's 108 things I could teach my younger self, but to pick only one is incredibly difficult because they all just go together. Well, that's it for the comments. Thank you guys for your feedback. Like, we really appreciate like your thoughts and perspectives, sharing your personal, joys and sorrows with us, because life is a sinusoid. It is a wave, like the radio and the micro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's got its ups and downs, but it's the downs that makes the ups worth upping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just listen to emo butters. um,
Yeah, taste bitter before sweet.
yeah, yeah. Because the important thing is that your life is fresh and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed watching this discussion and you want to continue commenting, we do have a comment section. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We're doing Trapped at Grandma's month. So the next movie we are doing next week is the Disney classic Mr. Holland's Opus, starring Richard Dreyfuss. And yes, this is the movie that convinced me to make this set list. Can't wait to watch this movie and discuss it. We've previously done earlier this year. We've done the Crow movies. We've done the Shrek movies. We've done Naked Gun. We recently uploaded a vlog of Robo Toy Fest, so definitely check that out. Also, check out our sister channel, the Morphin Network, where we do Ultraman Arc on Mondays, Kamen Rider Gacha on Wednesdays, Bakage Sentai Boom Boom Jur on Thursdays,
Boom, boom,
and Kamen Rider Fies on Sundays. And of course, if you want to say hi to us in person, we will be at Power Morphicon at the Pasadena Convention Center, August 23rd to the 25th. So if you want to say hi to us in person, that is your chance.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you guys.
Yes.
Any actors you're particularly excited to say hi to at this convention?
A lot. Well, especially meeting Gokai Pink, that is Princess Aim from Gokaiger, and I'm looking forward to see her because this is her first ever U.S. Appearance. So I hope that when she comes to the U.S., she is comfortable, she is welcome, she is blessed by all of us Power Rangers and Super Sentai fans, because we don't like. Because in the Power Ranger community, like toxicity does not exist.
Yeah, where it does, it needs to be.
Go away. There you
go. Like to quote the three writers from Kamen Rider Wizard, please go now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's mainly the Jungle Fury cast, because Jungle Fury is it's my favorite season, and to get so many of the Jungle Fury actors in there in the same year, it's just too perfect. And I'm happy to see Nicola again, and I can't wait. And I miss Anna Hutchinson, and of course Jeff Dolan. He was like one of the earliest actors I interviewed ever. So he's actually the second actor I've ever interviewed. The first one being Vernon Wells. Yeah. So those are our convention dates, so definitely check that out. And of course, if you want to find our personal content, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's cleal1031. And you can also find me on Morphin Network. So I'm pretty easy to find, guys.
Yeah. And you can find me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. With all that said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay hydrated, up there your emergency kits, hug your loved ones, and most importantly, talk hard. Bye, guys.